So have you ever wondered if you're misaligned with your purpose in life? Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about signs and symptoms of when you are misaligned with what you're doing. I'm going to give you count them three, examples of what may be going on in your life that may point to your misalignment. And the last one I hope you stay in for, because that is like the most common and most disastrous for our lives. Now, all three of these I've experienced myself. I am just as guilty as anyone for being misaligned with my purpose. Oh, and by the way, my name is Donald Henderson. It's nice to meet you. Let's start with the one that many of us have done, including myself. I call it clock watching. Now, years ago, I got relocated, got a new job in a new state, didn't know anybody, got a new apartment. I mean, I was starting, like rebooting my life, basically. And back in the day, we didn't have things like the internet and, cell phones, GPS, stuff like that. So when I arrived, I got moved into my apartment, and my first day of work, after orientation, they gave me this green, what they call green bar. It was like light green, white, light green, and it had information on it. It was printed on a piece of paper that was probably about 16 inches wide on an impact printer. If you don't know an impact printer, you don't know what you're missing because they are noisy. So anyhow, I parked close to the building. I finally found the building I was supposed to go to. I parked close to the building, and it was a gravel parking lot. Didn't have a problem with that. It was right next to the entrance of the building. It wasn't muddy. Didn't have big potholes in it. I just thought, great, this is close. So I parked there, walked into the building, and I thought it'd be really close to my desk when I found out that the location on that green bar was incorrect. It wasn't updated. No one called me to let me know. I thought for sure this is the biggest practical joke of my life. I went to the right floor, went to the column location. You know, they have little things hanging from the ceiling saying this is the column location. And what it was is nobody was there. There were no desks. They had the soft wall, like cubicle walls all the way around like a fence, but on the inside was just garbage, just trash. Like they just got up and moved. So anyhow, not a good thing. I went looking around, found a phone on the floor, picked it up, no dial tone, it wasn't connected. Looked around some more before I tried to hunt down a human being to talk to. Found a phone, picked it up, and on the paperwork it had my boss's name and his phone number. So I called him up and I said, hey, this is Donald Henderson. I'm reporting to where my directions said to go, and nobody's here. Where'd you go? I thought they moved to a whole nother city or something. Anyhow, it was just the building next door, no biggie. He gave me the location. I walked over there. He says, it's on the mezzanine. So I walked up a lot of stairs to get to the very top. And it was a manufacturing building. So the first floor was all manufacturing of parts for airplanes. And when I got there, I met my boss, shook his hand. He showed me where my desk was, introduced me to all my new coworkers. And one of them said to me, he's like, where'd you park? And I said, I parked in the gravel lot right by the building here. I thought it was great. There's plenty of parking. I could get in the door, 5 minutes to my desk. No, you don't want to park there. And I thought, why not? And all he said was, that gravel will damage your car. And I thought, well, I've driven on gravel before. I didn't know what was going on. So he explained to me what it was. And farther in the story, I'll tell you what I witnessed. Okay, so here's the deal. The people that park there, in manufacturing, a lot of times they'll have 3 shifts. So they're manufacturing constantly. But the shifts, the people that all work together get on and get off at the same time. So I've watched these people when I was working there. I saw what they did. They're highly paid, highly trained, highly experienced, damn good at what they do. Union folk, okay? And they make parts. And so they make high tolerance parts. In other words, it's very exact. Pieces have to fit together snugly. Not so tight that you can't take them apart again, but so close that they don't wobble, things like that. Very few errors. Errors could lead to very costly situations, like rework, you have to replace the part, or damage to an airplane, or even become fatal if it doesn't work right. So these people I really respected. I watched them work and I was really impressed with the results. But what was interesting is around quitting time, you could tell it was quitting time without looking at the clock. You could see that at a certain time, a few minutes before they were getting ready to leave, they would gather up all their stuff, they would put the tools away, they would clean up their area, they would grab their hat and jacket and their lunchbox and start moseying over to the time clock in their area. They would go over and pick up their time card. Back then it was paper. And they start lining up right next to the time clock. And then once that minute hand went straight to 12, they'd start punching, clocking out. Because if they did it too early, they would be penalized, for leaving early. So they did that, put it in the slot, and they were either jogging or running to the door. So I'm going, what the heck? And this happened every day, every shift. And it was like a stampede. I mean, you didn't want to get between them and the exit, that's for sure. So after they left, they ran out to their vehicles. And what was interesting, what I learned was, and this is back in the day when a lot of what you call blue-collar people would drive vehicles that were manual transmissions. They would leave their cars or trucks in gear. Okay, now ordinarily you wouldn't do that unless you're on a hill, but they leave it in gear. And what they would do is once they got in their vehicle, they would start it up and punch the gas. So in other words, as soon as that engine took off, they were on their way. You better not be in their way. And so when they did that, there'd be dirt and dust and rocks flying everywhere. And I realized when it started hitting the metal siding of the building that I figured out what they meant by getting your car damaged. So I learned to park a little bit farther away on the blacktop, but yeah, I've never seen that before. So do you or have you worked somewhere that that you keep checking the clock or your watch? I have. I mean, even jobs I enjoyed, I wanted to go home. So, I'd look at my watch and I go, God, I got a couple more hours to go. I got, one more hour to go. So I'd start getting ready to leave, pack up my stuff. That's clock watching. In other words, you look at the time, and if it's the getting off time, you're leaving. You're not hanging around for nobody. So that's the first example of something that might tell you you are not in alignment with your purpose. Could it be you don't really like your job? Been there, done that. Are you just working for a paycheck? Been there, done that. Your life outside of work is much more satisfying than work? Yeah, I enjoy my hobbies and things like that. I don't know what these guys did on average, but I could tell they wanted to go someplace else besides work. They did their 8 hours, they're out of there. Now, this whole thing with racing on the gravel might have been just a cultural thing for that work group. I don't know. But I saw it in that building. Almost everybody that worked there behaved the same way. So anyhow, that's a clock watcher. Now, the second one is working, or as the song goes, living or working for the weekend. And been there as well, What are some of the signs of this? You have a hard time getting going on Monday morning. Okay, when Monday rolls around, it's like, oh crap, I gotta go to work. Maybe you show up late on Monday mornings. Maybe all you do is talk about with your coworkers what everybody did on the weekend. You didn't get much work done, not very productive, but you're with your work people and you look like, you're dressing the part and acting like you're working, right? I've been there. So you just get a hard time going on the weekend, on Mondays. You just talk about your weekend. What happens on Tuesday? You have Taco Tuesday, right? It's a relatively new tradition, but basically you go out to lunch with your coworkers and maybe have a beer or some other alcoholic libation, and you might take a long lunch. Then guess what? Wednesday comes around. Happy hump day. We're halfway there. Weekend's coming. When you hear that kind of terminology, that means people are working or living for their weekends. They're there just to make maybe a paycheck, right? Whether they're all friends or not, or they get along and they got a good team environment, it doesn't matter. They're there because they want to do things to get ready for the weekend. Okay, so you got hump day out of the way. So yeah, you have Taco Tuesday, you have hump day, we're halfway there. Thursday, happy TGIF Eve. I've heard that. I don't know if you've said it or heard it, but I have. And then here comes Friday. Friday rolls around. It's TGIF, thank God it's Friday, or thank goodness it's Friday. Soon we'll get off and we can start our 2-day weekend. Pack the whole thing into 2 days. Some people say, F it, it's Friday, if you know what F it is. Maybe a little work gets done. I remember the first time I heard someone say, F it, it's Friday, they didn't do much work. And a lot of people left early or leave at lunch and say things like, I have a doctor's appointment. And they disappear. They start their weekend early. Now, people that don't punch time cards, they get away with that, like salaried people. I was salaried. You work to get the work done. But a lot of salaried people that I knew back in those days would take off. So what do they do on Fridays besides that? Sometimes everybody talks about their weekend plans. Oh, I'm going camping with the kids, or I'm going to do some yard work this weekend, cut down some trees and resod the front yard, whatever. So you're not getting much work done. So again, are you just working for a paycheck? Or is the job not providing you the meaning and satisfaction you get outside of work? Sometimes, like back in the day when I had a yard at a house at this time, man, I tell you, I cut the grass every week and do the bushes and pull the weeds. And when I get done, back up, and I was so proud of what I did. And generally, I had a better feeling about doing that than my job. So another little side thing here, a little side note, your work ethic. Your work ethic you bring with you sometimes, and sometimes your job affects your work ethic. And I remember this one coworker, I'd always get to work before my start time and leave afterwards. That was just how I was raised, and that's how I work things out. I like getting there before my other coworkers because I could get set up and get stuff started, read my emails, be prepared for the onslaught of everybody else coming in. Okay, so I had this one coworker, won't say his name in case he's watching. He was in a cubicle next to mine. And I was on the phone, hung up, and he was standing outside my cubicle. And I said, yeah, what's up? He said, you make me look bad. And I went, huh? He says, you make me look bad. And I said, what do you mean? He says, well, you're here when I come in and you're here when I leave. And I told him, I don't make you look bad. You make you look bad. So yeah, work ethic, that goes a long way, but that's also impacted by how you feel about your job. It could be the reason why he didn't show up. I mean, he did some good work. I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but it could be that what he was doing there didn't line up with his purpose. He was very good at what he did. He was a computer guy like me, and he did stuff that most of us couldn't do. I mean, he had the mind for it, but start time's 8 and I leave at 4:30. It's like, okay. So this is the last one, and it's the most common one. And I think it's the most deleterious thing for people and their self-esteem. It really kills the weekend and make you not want to go in Monday. It goes by different names. I call it the Sunday scaries. And it usually kicks in for most people around dinner time. A little bit later, a little bit earlier. You have some friends over, you're having a barbecue, and then you start thinking about the next day. And it's a feeling of anxiety and dread for the coming week. And you may enjoy your job, but there's something about it that's like, oh, I don't want to go. And here's a lot of different reasons. You had a great time with family and friends. You partied like it was 1999. You stayed up late, slept in Saturday morning. Excuse me. and you maybe drank too much, or maybe you played weekend warrior, you played sports, ordinarily during the week you don't do anything physical, and then you go all out on your team. Or you do yard work or something like that. You go do some repairs on your house and you're not used to going up and down ladders. So Sunday morning you're sore, you're hungover, you didn't sleep well the night before. And what are you thinking about? You're thinking about Monday. You could have to get up at 4 a.m. to get ready to go. You could hit your hour plus of commute traffic. You're thinking about that. It's like, oh, don't want to do that. I just want to stay home. And the real kicker is that you may have a presentation first thing in the morning that you're going to give to upper management. And you even haven't started working on it yet. So then you really panic. So that's the Sunday scaries. The bottom line is, do you really only work to support your life for the weekends? Or do you really enjoy what you do? And it's not just a pleasure thing. There's something about it that whatever you're doing, the value you're bringing to your work environment is something that is meaningful besides just having a good time. You could do that like on Taco Tuesday, go out and tell jokes and have a beer with your coworkers, or go someplace and eat so much that when you come back to work, you want to crawl underneath your desk and take a nap because you eat too much. But is it giving you meaning and purpose? Sometimes, here's the deal, like with the Sunday scaries. It could be that you need to just do some, what do they call it, sleep. I forgot what it's called. Hygiene, sleep hygiene. Here's the deal. We operate in habits. We operate in patterns, okay? If you have to get up every Monday morning, or Monday through Friday, you have to get up at 4 o'clock to hit the traffic to get to work, but on the weekends you stay up to midnight and sleep in the next day, you start changing your circadian rhythms. So what happens is when you stay up late and you get up late, your clock starts to change. Now, when I was in college, I discovered then, I don't know what I'm like now, that I had a longer than 24-hour day. I know it sounds weird, but like my senior year, I only had a couple classes and I was working in labs, things like that. And so I liked going in late because I had the whole place to myself at school. I had a key to get into the lab rooms. So I did all my homework and everything there. And I remember one morning I got out to stretch and I'm stretching, it's still dark outside, and I thought, I'm getting tired, maybe I should go home. And I heard something. And I looked to the east, I saw just a glimmer of light, and I was hearing birds. Birds get up early, right? And I grabbed my stuff and I got in my car and ran home before the sun came up, because I knew once the sun came up, I was pretty much toast. I would probably be staying up over 24 hours. But yeah, that's just the way it was. My clock got later and later. And a lot of people experience that too when they do their weekend. They got up at 4 o'clock in the morning Friday, they may be tired and they're watching a ball game or hanging out with friends, staying up past midnight and sleeping in the next day. So when Monday rolls around and that damn alarm clock goes off, you want to shoot it. And you go through that same cycle every week. And that's really hard on you, and it makes you start thinking about things. So maybe you need to adjust. The simple thing is make sure you don't stay up late and get up late, or overdo it on the weekends. Maybe that's all it is. Or it could be that what you're doing is not going along with your purpose, whether it's your personal life or your work life, whatever. So can you relate to any of these? Like I said, I experienced all these. I've had gone through these myself. I used to, back in the day when I lived in Washington, I picked up skiing. And when you ski with friends, it's a kind of a party atmosphere. It's physical, which is hard. And also you tend to eat crap when you're at the ski area and drink alcohol if you're into that. And the next day you pay for it. So I've experienced the things. I've experienced the Sunday scaries. I remember not too long ago when I was still working, thinking like, oh, I got to find a different job. I got to get up early. I got to go do this and do that. The paycheck wasn't worth it. So eventually I did quit that job. But the thing is that if things don't line up with your purpose, life is uncomfortable, to say the least. So anyhow, can you relate to any of these? Have you done these? I would probably venture to guess, if you've been working for a while, if you're mid-career, I'd say a definite yes. So here's the deal. In the description down below, I'll have my contact email address. If you want to meet, we'll set up a time, we'll get together and do a discovery call, see if what I can do, or we'll find out where you're going with your situation, see if there's something I can help you with, see if we can work together. If so, set up an offer for you to where we can work together and I can help you, if you don't know what your purpose is, help you find it, for one thing. And then once you find it, help you adjust your life so that you can work within it. That may mean you need to find a new career, a new job, something on the side, like doing some volunteer work once a week, once a month. That might be all it takes to get you back into your purpose. It doesn't mean you're going to throw your whole life away and reboot and start over again. Been there, done that, not fun. So anyhow, all I offer is that if you want to talk about this, work on this, send me a note. I will get back to you. We'll set up a day and time, and we'll go from there. Sound fair? The call is free, so don't worry about, you have to pay to talk to me. We'll get that going for you, all right? So anyhow, this is Donald Henderson. I hope you found this video helpful, and live within your purpose. It's good for you. And it's actually fun. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.